Let me sing you a song about the people that I love, the poets and philosophers, the workers and the wanderers.
Hi, this is Jencks, host of My Highway Home, celebrating music, art, culture, and community from the driver's seat or wherever you happen to be. This week in My Highway Home, my guest is Carol Maillard, a founding member of Sweet Honey in the Rock. And while many people know her for her work with the ensemble, Carol is also an accomplished actor in film, theater, and television, as well as a producer, director, composer, songwriter, poet, and parent. Carol shares with us many stories from an extraordinary life and the creative process that is ongoing for her. She shares stories about her spiritual process, which keeps her grounded in the midst of a creative life, and some great anecdotes from her many, many years making music all over the world. Please stay tuned for some great music and stories from Carol Maillard of Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Oh la la, oh la la, la la la. How many roads I've traveled, too many alone, circling round my truth, trying to find a home. At times all around me darkness, so hard to see, that grace is ever present, always guiding me. If I can take the time to still my mind, look into my heart and find the melody inside. It's calling out to me. Trust in your blessings and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. Trust in your blessings and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. Oh la la, oh la la, la la la. Now every moment is a miracle, gaining I can make the choice to change and know that I can grow and give and live and learn that life's a loving lesson. Let me always hear your music and your teachings. Bless me as I walk this path. I'm reaching for the highest. Yes, I'm trusting in amazing grace, flowing from a holy space, telling me my rightful place is anywhere I am. So you should trust in your blessings and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. Trust in your blessings and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. Oh la la, la la la. So many roads to travel, but I'm not alone when I walk and I live in truth. My heart is my home. God's light takes away the darkness. Easy to see that grace is all around me, always guiding me. If I just take the time to still my mind, look into my heart, I find the melody inside. It's calling out to me, calling out to me. Trust in your blessings, trust and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. Trust in your blessings, and all will flow like sweet honey from heaven. 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 Sweet, sweet
have to say, what I knew until fairly recently about your life and your work was limited to the scope of your connection to Sweet Honey in the Rock as a founding member, and still one of the sort of reigning, matriarchs of the ensemble. But you have led an extraordinary life. And in some ways, one could say against the odds. You have managed to thrive in the arts in such a beautiful way. And I do want to talk about your work as a cultural worker, as an activist, as a feminist, as, a cultural leader. But I have to start out by saying you are one hell of a singer.
Oh,
Holy
you sweetheart.
cow.
Thank you.
I think when people talk about you, they talk about you in the context in which you are, and justly so, a leader, a director, a producer, an actor, a writer, a composer, all of these things. But I sat down and listened to some of, the solo pieces featured on your website. And I just was like, oh my God, this woman can sing. Why isn't that the first thing people say when they talk about her?
Those are that jukebox are 15 of the songs that I've composed that is recorded by Sweet Honey, or I got one on there that was for a theater piece that I did the music for, and it's just my demo tape. I put it at the demo of the song. I put it at the very, very end, number 15. But most of those are songs that are recorded in association with Sweet Honey.
Yeah, so Motherless Child, is that something, that's a song that existed before you made that arrangement, or did you compose that song?
Oh no, I only added in a verse. I added a verse.
Yeah.
But it's basically it's a spiritual, and I can't even remember the first time I ever heard it. But I know I heard it as a child, like wade in the water and
yeah. Yeah, well, your arrangement of that is just stunning. Tears.
Thank you. Everybody wants it to come back. I keep getting it every time a list comes up. People, Mother's Child. Okay, I'll put it on the list. I don't think we're going to get to it anytime soon. I think we'll start working on it again over the summer. Yeah. And some of the new tunes that the group is bringing and trying to bring into the repertoire.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from sometimes I feel like I'm a long way from. Sometimes I feel like a long way like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Telling you that sometimes I feel just like I'm almost gone. Well, now sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. I'm gone a long way. I'm gone a long way. I'm gone a long sometimes I feel like I'm way from my home. My home, I feel like I'm a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Believer. Sometimes I feel just like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost gone. I'm gone a long way. I'm gone a long way. I'm gone a long. Sometimes I feel like I'm sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Oh, but I gotta Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. I can hear my voice calling me home. Come on home. Sometimes I feel like I'm alone. Come on home across the water. Sometimes I feel like I'm a long way from home. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
You started singing together in 1972 as part of the theater company in D.C., right?
We just in rehearsals. I'm not. It always feels to me like it was maybe the fall of '72. They were bugging Bernice to be the like the vocal director for the group of actors that were gonna be a group. We were going to be an ensemble and sing around the city and promote our shows, show up at the festivals like that, like a regular.
This was the DC Black Repertory Theater Company.
So by the winter, I would say the winter of '73, we were rehearsing. Maybe the late fall, early winter '72, '73, we started rehearsing as an ensemble of 10.
Yeah, I remember hearing you talk at one point about that Bernice got frustrated, even though you made good music together, with the constant evolution and the variance of who was present or not present. And she called basically one final rehearsal and said, whoever shows up to this one is in the group. And that was you and Louise and Bernice and
Maillard. Yeah, I have a dearly departed best friend, and Mike says, he used to always say, I was in the original ensemble. I never saw no sign go up about a rehearsal. Y'all excluded us on the guys and the rest of the ladies on purpose. He used to always tell that story. That's such a great story. No, Mike, no. The sign went up. I remember. I mean, it's in my memory. Like I can go like, oh, there's a sign. Come to rehearsal.
Yeah. And then you started working on your first record in '74. It was released in 1975 on Flying Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that was extraordinary. That record was earth-shaking in the impact that it had on the music community.
I hope so. There's so much, I guess, from my time with the group, excuse me, my time away from the group and then coming back into the group. I know that there are lots of people, we have fans that have followed us for a while, and some have been with us since the very beginning. People love the music, they love the group, they bring people to the concerts, blah, blah, blah. But I never have a good sense of how many people are really invested or real. This is my group. We're clueless. We don't know. We just know there are a bunch of people out there. We have no numbers or any testimonials like that tell us how many people we reach. We just hope we keep going and reach people and keep on reaching people.
Well, I would say it's a fair guess that by the tens of millions.
Oh, get out of here, Joe.
I'm not joking you. Over the arc of the last 47 years,
oh my God,
by the tens of millions globally, you have reached people. Your music has reached people. Oh. You have a discography that spans nearly half a century at this point.
Yeah.
And those records have been distributed on every continent in the world.
I took 12 of them to Australia in 1978. I'm not joking. I did. I had 12 in my suitcase, and every place I went, sometimes I could get to a radio station, or I met someone who was a musician, or any of those kinds of yada yada, scenarios I was in. I would give out a recording. And we, it became very interesting how the group got back to Australia and continued to go, and considered like Australia like one of our homes.
Good for you. My guess is that your music and the center point of that music, the message of liberation, the message of hope, the message of empowerment, of giving people permission to be proud of who they are.
Yeah.
In a world that tries to get you to conform to something else or not be yourself, particularly people of color, women of color. My guess is that your music resonated deeply with the indigenous populations in Australia, with the Aboriginal communities.
Yeah. I cannot really say how many people in the community, came out to our concerts. I know that we did workshops and children's shows, and the Aboriginal community. We always had an Aboriginal opening act. That was something that we required when we go overseas, as much as humanly possible. An Indigenous original people's performance ensemble would open for Sweet Honey. So we met quite a few folks, and we did different things. It's just that it's just so long, and I just can't tell you, what a great experience. All of that, the Maori people in New Zealand, Australian Aboriginal people, South, we're in Africa, East Africa. It's really quite phenomenal. Those experiences, reaching out to people and then having them perform for us as well.
Gong king king gong gong king gong gong king king gong 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 king king gong gong king gong gong king king gong 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 king king gong gong king gong gong king king gong 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 king king gong gong king gong gong king king gong gong.
We come by grace this far, leaning on who we are, holding to what we've been and what we can be. Some paths we take mislead us, lessons we face should tell us what goes round comes around and back again. Round and round and round and round. Inside this maze, the cycle of life is turning. Spirit, guide us, inspire us. We come and go by grace, and by the grace of God we go. What vision guides our journey? Who do we call for mercy to survive. Hold on to thrive, gaining in strength, growing in wisdom. Each breath a miracle, each beat the heart's content. Touch and let go again. Hold on, don't hold back. Round and round and round and around. Inside this mystery maze, the cycle of life is turning. Spirit, guide us, push us, inspire us. We come and go by grace, and by the grace of God we go. This story born of fire, some parts will ride the air. Sweet earth will keep us grounded. Water will tell the tale. Existence with same protection, unconditional comprehension. Keep your head to the sky so you don't fall. But love in your own perfection is the only sweet direction. Courage it takes to see your truth is the way to be free. Is the way to be free. Is the way to be free. It is the way to be free. Step by step by step, this story takes round and round and round. Inside this mystery maze, the cycle of life is turning. Spirit, guide us, push us, inspire us. We come and go by grace, and by the grace of God we go. We go. Overcome this world.
It seems to me that Sweet Honey and the Rock were really cutting edge when it came to turning the concert space into a space of inclusion. You were one of the first really high profile ensembles to have a sign language interpreter with you. You made sure that venues you were playing in were as accessible as possible to communities of disability. And you wanted the music and the message to be available and accessible. And you were inclusive in a way that lifted up people who came from many different backgrounds and many different cultures, and made them feel better about themselves because of being present with you in your music.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that felt like to be standing on those stages. And did you have any sense that you were really on the cutting edge of something, or were you just up there making music with your sisters?
Yeah, we didn't know. We were just really doing our culture. We were doing who we were. We were doing what we learned as kids. We were learning things in the church. You're learning things on the sidewalk playing during the summertime. You learn at the dance, where somebody you grinding with somebody in a corner and you're sweating, and we come from all of that. So being able to that's all we knew to do. That theatrically. Now I was trained at Catholic University of America in theater, but when I got to the rep, all that Black stuff that was in my head that I had nowhere to express, I had a place to express it. So that's what we all came from. And Bernice was active in the civil rights movement, and she was singing during the civil rights movement, so she brought all of that, and we just brought who we were. I think that's what's most probably authentic, is that we just come as you are and try to get better. Just don't do no worse, but basically come as your beautiful self.
That's beautiful. And it's also evident I was born in 1972. I was born the year that you all were getting together and starting to sing together. And I grew up, and my generation grew up with the kind of work that you were doing being normalized by you. We grew up hearing this as a given, as an understood part of the cultural fabric.
You're really fortunate.
And how amazing is that? That you've talked and you've written about what it meant for you going to a Catholic high school, going to American Catholic University. You referred to yourself, these are your words, not mine. You referred to yourself as a little bit of a preppy girl heading into this, and that your time in the theater ensemble in DC and your time then as that evolved, as the Black Repertory Theater Company evolved and Sweet Honey and the Rock emerged out of it. You've talked about learning how to claim being Black and being a Black woman in a different way.
I would say in a different way. That's a good way, because I always knew who I was as a young, Negro girl, colored when I was probably really little in the house. But growing up and really expanding into the culture, and I did the best I could at Catholic U. We all did the best we could. Culturally, and then the theater. I would say the DC rep just was one of the blessings of my existence, not just artistically, but in terms of a family and learning about me and growing up and fulfilling, like really making my family quite proud, of the fact that I was all the stuff they ever heard me say I wanted to do. All of a sudden they were looking at me doing it. You know what I mean? So that was quite impressive to me about myself, that I have been blessed that way.
You spoke at one point very fondly of your dad buying you a brand new.
How'd you know that? You read something, didn't you?
I do a little research.
Ooh. Yes, my father bought me a violin for my 16th birthday.
Wow.
Amazing. I still have it. It's just how he was just so cool, so it was like, my baby needs to have her own violin. You want your own violin? Uh-huh. So we asked the nun, I said, where should we go? We went somewhere like in Ambler, Pennsylvania, I believe we went out to a violin maker, and I found a beautiful, all brown, everything, the pegs, the chin board, the head, everything was this beautiful brown, is this beautiful brown. And yes, he bought me a violin, and I took it to parties, and I took it to the restaurants, and I took it to hang out with my friends. When we were go-go girls, I had my violin with me. I loved it. I just loved it. And my son is a violinist.
And for people who might not catch that cultural reference, can you talk about what that means, go-go girls?
Oh, we were like the Hullabaloo Girls. And the, what was that other show? Shindig. We danced while the band played. We shook our butts while the band played. we didn't have poles or nothing crazy like that. You just put on some kind of fringy dress and white boots and some long earrings with a little something sparkly on, and you just shake and dance and look beautiful and cool.
Here we are, standing between a tender memory and a love space, and it's bittersweet, oh so bittersweet, like being caught between a rock and a hard place. Yes, it's true, it's been a long time coming, but my heart is truly willing to walk this road again with you. You got it with me, we got the same old love. Yes, we do. Same old love, lovely love. were everywhere. In my dreamscapes at night, boy, how you love me right. Where could I go? What could I say? Where could I go to ease my mind? I know love's come and go, but the one thing I know, no one could ever even compare. 'Cause I miss you so much, darling, for such a long time. We love so honest and true, but out of the blue, there was no me and you. That chapter was through and I was singing the blues. Blessed fate brought you back to me and me to you. Yeah, you gotta admit, we got the same old love. Yes, we do. Same old lovely love. Whatever the reason, whatever the rhyme, love you for all season, for all time. Let's take this chance, give away to romance. Come on, baby, let's dance together. This mad dance together. Thank the powers that be that brought you back to me. Oh, slip your arms around my waist, babe. Hold me closer still. Come on, babe. I can't tell where you begin, but I know I fit in. Yeah. So much deep emotion, an overflowing ocean of love. That's what I have, like no time has gone by. Can we give it one more try? Yeah, stay honest and true, you for me and me for you. Oh, we are such a delicious fit. You gotta admit, this is how it's supposed to be. Like I said, you for me and me for you. Time is so precious. It's the same old. Such a sweet, same old love. Lovely love. Baby. Ooh, well, baby. Oh, baby. Calling out, baby. Such a sweet and lovely love. Oh, love's come and go, but I've had my share. But one thing I know, I said, no one could ever compare. And I tried, baby, sweet and lovely love.
This is Joe Jencks, and you're listening to My Highway Home on Folk Music Notebook. Well, that leads me to something else I wanted to ask you about, which is, there's this depth of spirituality in your compositions and in the way that you sing. You've talked about growing up in the church. Obviously, you went to Catholic schools, but there's something really deep in a number of these songs that you have written. In particular, Prayer to the One and Trust both struck me as being such significant pieces of your spiritual expression, which I know has moved into you have a guru that you have studied from and followed, and you found your way into a very broad spirituality. And I wondered if you'd be willing to talk a little bit about that, about your meditation practice, about your
Sure.
yoga practice, about the ways in which that's helped you stay centered in a life that has been constantly in motion.
Yeah, I think I know that we come here with everything that we need. We're born with in this beautiful little package is just like, I want to say, when they hit atoms together and all that energy diffusion, we come in such a tender package full of power. I know that when I was growing up, I know that I thought differently, and I did a few little things, or heard things, or saw little lights and little things like that. So I feel like that was my path, is that I would find a spiritual teacher, that I would express myself creatively. I really thought that I would be married and have 3 girls and 1 boy, and live in a nice little house somewhere and still be a movie star. I don't know where, but I realized that somewhere in my high school years, me and Gail Dingle decided we wanted to know more about metaphysics. And we would go to the ethical culture, this and that, in Rittenhouse Square in Philly, and hang out in Rittenhouse Square with the hippies and do little things like that, and talk about meditation. But I didn't really, when I was in my second year at the DC rep, someone came in and started teaching us meditation, and somebody knew somebody who said, oh, you guys could probably really benefit from group meditation as well as meditating together. So they were into transcendental meditation. So I was like, right on. And that's when I jumped into a daily practice until it didn't do anything for me again. And then I started looking for a teacher. I really never knew who the teacher was, but I have a memory of stopping and just saying, I'm looking for the perfect teacher. And then maybe about a year later, I had already been introduced to Swami Muktananda in the city yoga practice of meditation. I knew who he was. And a year after that, it's just been I've done it for 40 years. I've been with the city yoga practicing yoga meditation for 20 years. And it has, what I like, I was talking about it yesterday, what I like the most about it, and this is my practice. Now, I don't know what anybody else is going through, but for me, there's no separation between spiritual path, religious path. There's no ostracizing one group because they believe this or the other. Or, I'm sure there was some favoritism about who had money and who could make a big donation and who was just regular people. I'm sure there were people there. I know all that was going. If Gurmai said once, and she was Baba Muktananda's successor, a woman came up to me and said, oh, Gurmai, I love being here because it's like not being, I'm away from the world. And she said, what do you think this place is? If it happens out there, it happens here. Maybe not murder or rape or crazy, but the world is here. You're going to find yourself looking at yourself. She didn't say all that, but that's what I just love. The world was in the ashram. I was able to raise my son in that atmosphere and go up there a lot and do music and offer my service and learn new skills. Woo. That was great. That was a good part of it. Learning a new skill, how to produce, basically. How to produce, how to be in the studio, how to sing in the mic, how to, how to clean marble floors, how to serve.
As the Buddhists would say, chop wood, carry water.
Exactly.
If you can't find enlightenment in the mundane,
Yes,
You're not going to have any better luck finding it anywhere else.
that's right. That's
And
right.
and you're absolutely right. I think people come into spiritual communities of many, many forms,
Mm-hmm.
expecting people to already have evolved into their highest self.
Right.
And they get very disillusioned when they bump into the ways in which this is part of the practice. The evolution of the self is why we show up in our spiritual communities.
Come
So, of
on.
course, you're going to bump into the raw side of ego. Of course, you're going to bump into jealousy and anger and frustration. And, so yeah, I understand why that yogini, why that guru, said, oh, you're looking at this the wrong way. Everything that's out there is in here too.
Pretty much.
That's why we're here, because we're working on that stuff. So
We are all working on it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, I'm so glad you've had that practice in your life and that it continues to give to you. And
Yes.
the depth of that practice shows up in your songwriting and in your
Thank,
composition. And
thank
it's present. There was another song that you wrote, Dreams and Possibilities.
That's really sticking with me right in through here. It was we got a commission, and I don't, and forgive me, I don't remember who commissioned it. It's the truth. But however, um a gentleman by the name of Bill Banfield was a composer, classical composer, and jazz guitarist and teacher at Berkeley School of Music. And he wanted we ended up doing a piece with him called Affirmations. And each one of us wrote lyrics, and he wrote the music, the melody, the orchestration, and the choral parts. Because we did it with the National Symphony and the Morgan State Choir. And each one of us had an aria. I called them arias. Each one of us did our own aria.
And you wrote
And
the text for that?
I wrote the text for Dreams and Possibilities.
It absolutely blew me away. It's a song that I may, in fact, learn myself and incorporate into my
Hey!
own repertoire, because it just, I found myself in tears listening to that. There was a line in there that I mean, your poetry is astonishing, but there was a line in there in particular that I think is going to become one of my own mantras, and that was, "Love keeps me dreaming forward."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. I'll keep you. Ooh, that's great.
Dreams, dreams, dreams and possibilities. This is my life. Why I'm here, I still don't know. So I stay on the search for meaning. There are things I'll always remember, memories that are ever expanding, of passion, of pain, of peace. Many glorious days behind me. Life moves onward, no stop signs ahead. Love keeps me dreaming forward. I am here with no I dream, yes, I dream of dreams and possibilities. So who can say what is my destiny? Who can say what is my fate? My dance is a dance of Shiva. My song is a song of heart on the horizon, poised to take flight, touching the air in the dreaming night, affirming my power, confirming that I am. Now sometimes life falls apart, then back together again. There's power in the believing faith, in the seen and unknown keeps me moving forward, grateful for how I have grown. Dreaming of dreams that are mine to realize. I'm dreaming of possibilities. I'm here, I'm alive. Oh, see me fly, so dream. Oh, I fly through the air, shattering every atom that I touch, sending shockwaves from my soul. Who do I dare fear? God is alive inside of my heart, inside of your heart. Fear no one, be yourself. Just dream. Always dream. Oh, beautiful as I am. Beautiful as I am and always will be. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
There's a part of your brain that is always deconstructing what you're listening to and thinking about how it's assembled. And I think sometimes it becomes a practice for us to learn how to turn that critical, analytical part of our brain off and just receive the power of the music that's coming at us as a gift. To stop pulling it apart. And when you study formally, I did as well. I was a vocal performance major and studied theater. Like, you learn how to deconstruct the art in a way that's important in the learning process, but at some point you have to learn how to stop deconstructing the art so that you can just make the art without having that inner critic constantly barraging you with the self-doubts that will prevent you from giving your very best.
Exactly. The monkey mind thinks it's protecting you. You know what I mean? The mind really thinks it's protecting you from getting hurt or disillusioned or bringing up fear or insecurity. So sometimes I would just say, mind, thank you so much for trying to help me, but I need to go this way. I'm not going to let this stuff stay swirling around in my brain. You know what I mean? Thank you, mind. Oh, that's so kind of you to make me think I could fail doing this. Thank you. But I'll take the pain.
Well, yeah, I mean, somewhere from an evolutionary standpoint, that part of our brain was useful because it let us know when we were
Mm-hmm.
too close to the edge of the cliff, or when
Uh-huh. Uh,
we were potentially in the presence of a predator and needed to behave differently, or like
right.
there is when you get into the the very core vestigial parts of our evolutionary mind. Those voices have a place, but you're right. We That's part of the practice. Is that we need to learn how to turn that off, or very gently invite it to go take a seat and have a cup of tea while we get on with what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Thank you, mind.
I love that. I'm
Thank
taking that.
Yeah, you can have that. I just have to, and I would say it literally. Thank you. Oh my mind. Thank you so much. Next, because
Yeah,
I don't. You don't want to. You can really spin out, especially
yeah.
when times get hard. I was surprised this year. Uh, I didn't have too many spin outs where I felt hopeless or afraid or dismayed. You know the kind of words I'm trying to
Hmm.
find. Um, I was just going to wear my mask, wash my hands, keep my distance, have selective friends to come and visit, and stay my behind in the house.
Yeah.
If I didn't have to go to the doctor or go to the bank or mail a letter or anything of that nature, I just kept my butt in the house. I'm still doing it. It's not been so great for me in terms of the atrophying of my leg muscles. However, I find that it was not as difficult of 14 months as as I know it could have been, and that it has been for other people.
Sunshine or rain, they are the same. God's love loves light in day or night. Why should I care if here or there you are with me in all I see? My every breath, my very breath, you. Glory be thine, all space divine, spirit moves free from you, heals me. Why should I care if here or there inside holy light, no day or night?
every breath, my very breath, my every breath, my very breath, you. Every breath, my very breath, you.
This is Joe Jencks, and you're listening to My Highway Home on Folk Music Notebook. This is an interview with Carol Maillard from Sweet Honey in the Rock. So one of the songs that probably Sweet Honey is most known for is Ella's song.
Mm-hmm.
The arrangement that Sweet Honey did of that has traveled. My sisters were in Muse, the Cincinnati Women's Choir, directed by Kathy Roma. They did a version of it. That was the first place I encountered that piece of music. But it's it's a beautiful piece of music, and of course it's really relevant right now in ways. It's always been relevant, but I think more people are aware of it. When the killing of a black man, a black mother's son, is as important as the killing of a white man, a white mother's son.
Yeah. Baker said that. What did she say that in the 60s? She put it, those are her words.
Yeah.
That Bernice said to music. So,
Yeah. Well, it's very powerful arrangement that you all did of that.
Wow.
But I mention that because there are two songs of yours that I listened to several times over. Compositions of yours, Are We a Nation? I love that that's a question mark in the way that it's stated in the song. And The Women Gather, both of which feel like they could have been written yesterday. They are just so salient to the times that we find ourselves in. And I'd love to hear your reflections on both of those songs.
I was in the car on the way to the airport from Seattle or Portland. Not sure which place, but it was the same producer who brought us out there. And Rod was such a nice guy. And he said, I'll take you to the airport. I was going to stay an extra day, and I'll take you to the airport. And I think Columbine had already happened. And I said, Rod, I'm going to ask you this question. I said, do white people ever come together when there's a problem, like the boy that did the shooting and all those other little, when there's a problem in your community with your folks, do y'all come together and have a conversation like Jewish people do that? And I know Black people and Caribbean and African people, we have a little group, the group, you know what I'm talking about, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It took him a moment. Must have been 10 good seconds. Something he said, no, we don't do that. And there was something about the way he said it. And then our conversation afterwards, why I thought it was important. And I really know it's important now. And that was, I felt like there was something going on in that young white male energy, or that would go in and shoot up a school, or go in and shoot up a grocery store. Why you got a gun? Why you shooting? I said, don't y'all talk about that like as a group? And he said, no. So I had been thinking about children. And for some reason, I couldn't get that song together. I had that melody, but couldn't get the words together. And one day, I'm in my living room, and I come out, and I stopped in the middle of the floor, and I started singing those words to that. And so that's Women Gather is almost 20 years old.
You wrote that in the wake of Columbine, you say?
Yes, I'm remembering now.
Yeah.
Are We a Nation was 2010.
Yeah. Well, this, the line in the Women Gather, people say, not in this neighborhood, it doesn't happen here. This happens every day. It does happen here.
Yeah.
And the last part of that, don't you know, some bullets find their targets, bombs can take you right on cue. Some in the hands of babies or officials and their crew. Claim the brother had a gun. She fit the profile in my book. Running, hiding, taking cover, didn't take the time to look. Somebody's mother, brother, best friend, sister lover. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans.
Yeah. That it doesn't happen in our neighborhood. All of those little things were coming up. This kind of thing doesn't happen here. Yeah, but it does. And it has been. And it still is.
He was her only child, her baby boy. She was his second daughter, a father's pride and joy. Somebody's mother, brother, best friend, sister, lover. Maybe an A1 student running, hiding, taking cover. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. People say, not in this neighborhood. It doesn't happen here. Our kids have everything. What do we have to fear? But what about the ones who say this happens every day? Drugs and violence take our children. How much more death can come our way? The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. Don't you know? Some bullets find their targets. Bombs can take you right on cue. Some in the hands of babies or officials and their crew. Claim the brother had a gun. She fit the profile in my book. Running, hiding, taking cover. Didn't take the time to look. Somebody's mother, brother, best friend, sister, lover. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. The women gather crying tears that fill a million oceans. It doesn't matter where you're living. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're living.
Are We a Nation was suggested by the person that was managing us at the time. And he thought that we were really pissed off about that Arizona SB 1070. Pissed off. And we kept arguing about it and fussing about it. He said, why don't you write a song? And he put the whole production together to write the song, get the track with a very Grammy Award-winning composer, Barry Eastman, did the track, and we did the whole video, but pretty much in a day, the video and the recording of the song in one day. Are We a Nation? We're still singing it, but I think we may adjust the words a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it just, that really struck me. I thought that was an extraordinary composition, and so it does not surprise me that you're still singing it as an ensemble because it's so salient. And I think, to go in a totally different vein of our cultural heritage in this country, but I think the same question is what Woody Guthrie was asking in some of the verses of This Land Is Your Land that they don't put in the school books when he says, in the center of the city, in the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office, I saw my people. They stood there hungry. I stood there wondering, is this land made for you and me?
Oh, I remember that. I heard somebody sing that.
He
thing.
asked that question, is this
Yeah.
land made for you and me? And I thought, yeah, that song just really grabbed me as being relevant to the times. All of your music is timeless. The political, the spiritual, the love songs. There's a tenderness and a fierceness in how you sing and how you write. There's a fearlessness in your willingness to voice political and social ideas, as well as the very personal spiritual ideas, the vulnerability. And I have to say that it strikes me deeply about what limited things I know of your work and your public persona, is that you manage to be both tender and so fearlessly powerful at the same time. And I think the two somehow are tied together through this spiritual practice, because the one allows you to be the other,
Ooh. I'm hearing you again.
Like there's something about the practice that invites you into the openness of heart and to the humility and to the centeredness that seems like it gives you the courage to stand up and say wrong is wrong. You gotta call it out. You gotta call these things out and invite people into dialogue. And we know that music does that in some ways better than anything.
Yeah, I was watching a couple years ago when the movie came out. Louise and I went to see the movie about Mr. Rogers and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And the line, and I still say it, I never heard him say it on TV or on the show, but he said, if it is mentionable, it's manageable. And when things go awry, right around, working on the business, or someone, is not getting along or doesn't understand. I said, and I just go, if it's mentionable, it's manageable, just bring it up. Bring it up and talk about it. I'm not that good at doing that, but I know that that's a truth. That's a solid truth. If it's mentionable, it's manageable.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
We need a nation, a joint heart to hand. We need a nation where we understand that we are a nation. Come together, heed the call.
This law of immigration, race, hatred, separation. Can we find a way to come together right now?
Both sides of the conversation keeps the freedoms of our nation. Any points of view neglected, civil rights are not protected. Stop, question, blamed, arrested. I wanna know, is it fair? Is it fair? I care. Do you care? Stand for justice if you dare. Are we a nation divided as we fall? We need a nation, a joint heart to hand. We need a nation where we understand that we
unity, freedom, and equality. I'm just trying to be free, they wanna bottle me. We're all victims to the immigration policy. We need change, you can save the apology. We need help in Arizona cause. Things won't improve with the Arizona law. Give us the strength to battle through it all. Cause when we're strong, that's when paranoia falls. Rich get rich, the poor get poor. And greed for the money is the root of it all. At the same time, they control us with fear. It seems that nobody cares. Yo, the rich get rich and the poor get poor. The greed for the money is the root of it all. At the same time, they control us with fear. But it seems that nobody cares. Yeah.
So, Sweet Honey, obviously a huge part of your life and your work in the world. And you have a big concert coming up, a Juneteenth concert coming up. And I wanted to be sure and talk about that since this will be on air before that concert. So people will have time to get any tickets or find links that they need to find. Tell us about that concert.
Well, the concert is, let me go back just a wee. Last year, we co-produced a concert, a live concert on a stage at the Lincoln Theater in Washington, D.C., the historic Lincoln Theater. No audience at all, just us on stage with our plexiglass dividers. We were all 6 feet apart, and we did an absolutely beautiful concert celebrating Juneteenth. Juneteenth is that celebration when the slaves, people who were enslaved in Texas, in certain parts of Texas, got the news almost 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed, and people of African descent were able to just leave the plantation legally. So the Juneteenth concert, I think we were one of the first groups. We were the first whole big, all of us on stage at the same time singing live. I couldn't remember seeing anybody else, but we had plexiglass dividers. So we were like in our own little hallway singing out. So that was very successful. That was so we decided we were going to do it again this year. This might be our annual, an annual thing for us, but it was just divine. So we're going to do it again on June 19th. It's going to be filmed. We're going to film it, and it will be presented in its edited version, a beautiful concert with all, whatever special touches we can give, conversations and hosts, and maybe not brand new songs, but new arrangements. Mm-hmm. We're going to make it fresh, but we got a lot to talk about in this Juneteenth, boy. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to address that. And it's co-produced with an organization called Third Row Live. And the website is www.thirdrow.live/Juneteenth. Juneteenth, because June 19th is the day that those particular slaves, last group of slaves left the plantation. They call it Juneteenth. And they're talking about even making it a national holiday, Emancipation Day. And because it happened on June 19th and they call it Juneteenth, then I believe the tickets are $19. The tickets are $19. And a portion will go to a charity.
I can't wait. I will be throwing down my $19 and tuning into that for sure.
Come on, babe.
That's fantastic. One of the things I also wanted to ask you about, if you still have the time and the energy, was about your acting career, because you were with Sweet Honey in the Rock, but you came into it as an actor. You came into it from the theater side.
Yeah.
And then you had a good run with Sweet Honey. And then you decided that your acting career needed more of your time and attention. and you left Sweet Honey in the Rock for a while. You came back in 92. What year did you leave Sweet Honey in the Rock to pursue acting full time?
Well, I did work in 77. I did do some concerts in 77. And then in 78, I went to Australia. So I wasn't able to do anything else with the group. And I didn't come back again until they needed a sub. And then I became a sub. If they needed somebody at the last minute, they might call and say, Maillard, we're going to be in New York. Would you like to come sing with us? Like that. And then in 90, they were getting ready to do a tour to Southeastern Africa, on that side, on the Pacific side, Indian Ocean side, that side. And the one person could not make it. And I went to Africa with Sweet Honey in the Rock. No, first I went to Japan in 89 as a sub. So I went to Japan and Australia in 89. 1990, that person still was not back. And then I went to Africa and we sang for Mandela a couple times. Wow. At those big rallies, you know. And then the woman decided she wasn't going to come back. She tried to come back about a year. And then she said, nah, she resigned. And they asked me if I would do it. And it took me a minute. I said, no. I don't know what they did. Then they came back again. I said, are you sure? In 92. And I said, okay. If it doesn't interfere with me being mommy, you know, and my life in New York, I'm not moving to DC. If all of that can work for y'all, then and it's part-time, I could certainly do it. So.
And in between all this amazing acting work, I noticed as a Star Trek fan, as a kid who grew up watching that you've done some work with LeVar Burton.
Reading Rainbow. Yep. That was marvelous. That was really marvelous, I have to say. You know, and I got to bring my son to the set, but I would have loved for him to meet LeVar Burton. It was great. Yeah. That's a beautiful show. It's on YouTube. Reading Rainbow, Follow the Drinking Gourd is the name of the episode. In
the midst of an acting career, you've done Broadway shows, you've done off-Broadway, you've done television and film. You were in a film probably a lot of people would know, Beloved, which is probably not the most significant role for you in your career, but I mention that just because it's a film that a lot of people would know as a reference point.
Yeah. It was I thought it was a really well done film. Yeah. Really well.
Yeah. What do you, I mean, outside of Sweet Honey in the Rock, which is this amazing through line and part of your life and your career, and, you know, an integrated thing, what do you look back on right now and go, I am so glad I said yes to that?
I am so glad I went to Australia for Colored Girls. I'm so glad because I said no to the national tour to travel around the country doing the play because I wanted to stay in New York and keep doing what I was doing. And soon after that, Australia showed up. And I'm really glad I said yes to that.
2, 3, 4. I'm going down to the waters of Babylon. Gonna wash my tears away. I'm going down to the waters of Babylon, gonna wash my cares away. I'm going down to the waters of Babylon, gonna wash my tears away. Take me down, raise me up, heal my soul. Take me down, raise me up, to make me whole. I'm going down to the waters of Babylon. Gonna wash my tears away.
to make me whole.
Last but certainly not least, you have performed at the White House on multiple occasions early on.
Oh,
You
you killing me.
you
Killing me,
performed
Joe.
for the Nixon White House.
Oh, Joe, you got that book. Oh my God. Yes, I did. I don't remember. I think we did sing something. They made me sing. There was no piano, and I sang a cappella. And the performance group that I worked with Catholic University, Father's Kids, and Father Harkey knew all the presidents, and he always took his USO group, and I was with his USO group, always took them to the White House for tea with the First Lady or the family or something. They always got there. And that was the first time I went to the White House. And the second time was when Michelle Obama invited us to come and do a children's kind of family concert, children's concert in the Yellow Room. I don't know what they call that room, but I call it the Yellow Room.
Yeah, and I want to note that not only did you perform at the White House during the Obama administration, you were the very first performing ensemble invited to be there.
Yes, we were.
For that administration, for the Obama family.
Yes.
And that speaks, when I say that the work you have done and continue to do has reached millions of people, I'm not engaging in hyperbole.
Okay.
You have changed things for real for a whole lot of people. And the fact that the Obama family would invite you as the very first performing ensemble to come to the White House during their tenure, what a beautiful tribute to the work that you had done to that point and have continued to do.
Yeah. She and some friend had come to see us in Chicago and brought their daughters and sent us a note. And then she came to see us at the Howard Theater in 2012. Hers about 15 of them. Her girls, there's all her girls. And we didn't know she was coming. Next thing we knew, the Secret Service was there. What's the Secret Service doing in there? What? Yo, don't come out that room. We'll tell you in a minute. Don't come out that room. What do you mean don't come out there? What's like that? And it's, Michelle Obama and her girls are sitting up the house right in the balcony, having a good time. Yeah, that was really quite like she said. And she said, we have to have you back. We didn't make it back. They had all kind of great concerts there. But, we still consider them family. That's really something special.
What a beautiful thing. Carol, thank you so much for taking so much time to have a conversation with me today. It's just really lovely for me as another working musician, as somebody who's been a fan of your music with Sweet Honey and the Rock for, several decades, to come to a deeper understanding of who you are as a person within that context and as an artist. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some of these stories with our listeners so that they have a deeper understanding of who you are.
Absolutely.
And the things that are important to you. And I know that this is still just scratching the surface of an extraordinary artistic life. But thank you for giving me so much of your time and for sharing these amazing stories with me.
No worries.
This just fills my heart so deeply in a time when there is so much suffering.
Great conversation. Great conversation.
Boom, boom. The clock on the wall says it's time to go. But I know my heart really wants you to stay a while. Hear the seconds ticking by and the world outside is still. So before you have to leave, stay a while with me. Oh, stay a while with me. Stay a while. Soft breezes blowing through the air. A summer moon is rising. high in the sky. Waves of love are dancing round everywhere, like golden fireflies in the clear black sky. Sitting here with you is so sweet, so divine, like the sound of the wind whistling through the trees. When I'm with you, baby, not a word needs to be said. Tender love, I'm asking you to please stay. Oh, stay longer with me. Why don't you stay? One life, one breath, one spirit, one heart, one love lives between us. When you drink, my thirst is satisfied, and when I tire, I know that you'll be there to give me rest. Just to live my life with you would be so sweet, so divine, like the sound of the wind whistling through the trees. Ancestor rhythms, the sound of two hearts dance and love dance together. Time is moving on, but I'm asking you to please stay. Oh, stay a little bit longer with me. Why don't you stay? Oh, stay a little bit longer with me. Stay a little bit longer. Please stay.
This is Joe Jencks, and you've been listening to My Highway Home, celebrating music, art, culture, and community from the driver's seat. My guest this week was Carol Maillard from Sweet Honey in the Rock. Many thanks to Carol for her wonderful stories and songs. Thanks to Ron Olesko, host of Folk Music Notebook. Many thanks to Charlie Pilzer at Tonal Park, to Mary Sue Tui, and to all of you for listening. All interviews copyright 2021, Joe Jencks, Turtle Bear Music, My Highway Home.